Guys, another day in Paris. I was just walking over to my grandma's house and I passed by one of the health food stores that I used to religiously go in back when I lived here when I was 15 years old. I lived here for a couple months with my grandma, and I was obsessed with just walking into these health food stores, and that's it. I would just walk in there. I didn't even really buy food. I should say I would look at a lot more food than what I bought. I'd buy the same things over and over again, but I would go in there and I would just stare at food for hours. Literally I'd go in multiple times a day, or I'd find multiple different grocery stores to look at, because that's literally all I did, because I had so much mental hunger. And that's what happens when you deprive your body of food. You just start thinking of food all the time. It's a survival mechanism. Makes sense, right? We need food to survive. Food isn't around when it's around, but you're not letting it come into you, so it's not around. Your body and your brain is going to be preoccupied with finding food. So anyways, my mind would get me to go and walk into these places being please eat something, and I wouldn't. And so I would just, continue with the food obsession. That all went away once I started eating more, by the way, guys. Mental hunger goes away when you are well nourished. I think about food when food is in front of me, or right when I get hungry, not throughout the day. I don't spend my time going through grocery stores just for the fun of it. I've been here for about a week. Yeah, it's been a couple days past a week, 9 days or something. And I've gone to the grocery store twice, and it literally was for 2 minutes. Miranda and I walked in, walked out, just quickly grabbed some stuff. It wasn't a big deal. And honestly, we just did that to save money of going out all the time. It adds up, and we're okay, let's just do a lunch from the store. But anyways, since I'm walking by here, I figured, why don't we go walk in it and see what it's all about. And so I figured that would be kind of fun. I have a feeling it's going to be boring. I have a feeling I'm going to say ooh to every single thing I see in there, because it's a health food store, so there's a lot of tofu sausages and vegan cream cheeses and things like that. So are you ready? This store is called Naturalia. At least that's how I've always said it. I actually think I'm pronouncing it wrong, to be quite honest. But let's go see what it's about. All right, here we go. So first thing I see is the bulk bins. I used to be obsessed with the bulk bins. I thought for some reason it was so cool that you could buy quinoa in the bulk bins, or you could buy millet and things like that, which you don't really see in other stores in France. So I remember just obsessing over the bulk bins. And then I would always walk around all the fruits and vegetables. I would pick up and smell them and touch them and not buy them, which is kind of a crappy thing to do. So I'm just reminiscing over here by picking up a tomato, smelling it, and putting it back. It's pretty much what I used to do, but I would find this all so fascinating, right? I would spend probably 30 minutes in just this tiny little section before moving to the next big section, which is the vitamin section. I feel every health food store has a huge vitamin section. Put two and two together here. It's why are they needing so many supplements on bloating and digestive system issues and all these things? It's almost I don't know. I feel people who are super into this type of version of health are really into supplements and taking things that are potentially going to make them live until they're 1,000 years old. I swear that's kind of the intention behind it. One thing that you don't see in a lot of French stores, but that you see here, is a bunch of nut butters. They don't eat a lot of nut butters, even things like peanut butter. It's you don't really eat that. And I kind of like that, because, to be honest, nut butters make my stomach hurt really badly, really badly. I think we can tend to overconsume them, especially when we're doing something like a vegan diet, where we eat just so many nut butters, and we replace, our cheeses with nut cheeses and nut sauces and all of that. They also had this pain complet, which is whole grain bread. It's really sad, just because there's boulangeries with amazing bread, and to just have this like pre-packaged bread just didn't look great. The tofu stuff doesn't look good at all. Tofu never really, I mean, I like tofu when I'm like, I go and get a green curry or whatever, but I don't like my like sausage and meat and stuff like that to be tofu. And Beyond Burgers, well, we're going to come back to that in a second here because I'll talk more about it. But I remember being fascinated by all of these like soy products. So it's like, oh my gosh, soy hot dogs, soy yogurt, like wow. I really don't know why I found this amusing. There's the row of almond milk, soy milk, spice milk, all of that. And I'm like, okay, can we go now? I don't get it. I really just don't get it at all. What to me just sucks about like all of these products, and this isn't coming from an orthorexic mindset, this is just regular, just mindset around food, is that there's just so many things in these things. Like, you look at the ingredient label and it's always like, why are there a million things in my milk? All right, to editing Chloe here, I just want to go through something with you guys real quick, because to me, this is like quite obvious at this point now, but I remember back in the days, again, when I was vegan and when I was kind of stuck in this whole health world, I really did truly think that these products were a lot better for me. And now I just see it in such a different light. And so before I dive into what I'm going to dive into right now, I just want to say that I preach coming to food, all food, no matter what it is, with no fear. I really, really, really do. But it doesn't mean that I don't have an understanding of health and what's going to be more supportive for my body. Meaning, I am a human being who has to make choices every single day of what I'm going to put in my body. If someone hands me something that has artificial flavorings and dyes and sugar and corn syrup and all those things, am I going to freak out and have an anxiety attack? No. Am I going to choose to nourish my body with those things every single day? No, I probably wouldn't. Again, not from a place of fear, from a place of just understanding health and how my body works, if that makes sense. So the orthorexic mindset is way different from just a natural, healthy mindset towards food. So wanted to put that out there, because I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, this is the devil, if you eat this, you're gonna die. I'm just simply showing something to prove a point here, to show just how far we've really come, I feel like, from just good old just like standard nutrition. We've really stepped into these fad diets, which, you know, has led to eating a lot of these kind of fake products, to be quite honest. They're again, we can eat them without freaking out about it, but also it's understanding that's like, wow, to now follow a dietary regime that has me just doing fake sugar, fake meat, fake milk, all these things with all of the things that come with that, which we're going to dive into in a second, that's where I start going like, oh, okay, can we be smarter about this? So I want to just show you guys a couple ingredient labels. And again, this isn't to promote obsessively looking at a ingredient label. Rather, this is to kind of prove a point that while we hear online all the time how great veganism is, it's like, is it really? Like, is it really actually that great for our health? I really wonder when the products that are classically vegan are filled with things like this. So this is, I can't remember if this one's the Impossible Burger or the Beyond Meat Burger, but I'm going to show both. But here are the ingredients for the vegan burger. We have pea protein isolate. Now, I just want to remind you that any protein that comes from a plant source is an incomplete protein, so it doesn't contain all the amino acids that we need, unlike something like beef, which does, right? And so incomplete protein, it can be really hard for a lot of people to digest. Like, a lot of people have big issues digesting protein powders. I remember I used to always eat like the Vega protein powder and stuff like that, and pea protein isolate is like a huge part of those powders, and it's just very hard on the system to digest and assimilate. Expeller pressed canola oil. So here we have a polyunsaturated fatty acid, oil that is known to be quite rancid and not supportive for our health. I recommend reading this article by Dr. Chris Kresser on how industrial seed oils are making us sick. The increase of consumption in vegetable oils in our modern world has really been to our detriment. I feel like a lot of, again, this isn't to be like paranoid. I have a video that came out like a month ago or so that was talking about how one of the things that I don't like about the pro-metabolic space is that they make you fear things like vegetable oil. So again, this isn't coming from a place of fear. It's just coming from a place of understanding of like, yeah, maybe if every single product of mine and everything I cook with at my house is, vegetable oil, it's not going to be supportive of my health. The better things to be cooking with and utilizing are lard and butter, coconut oil, and some of the monosaturated fats, the avocado oil, the olive oil, those type of things. So again, it's like not coming from an orthorexic place here, but understanding that's like, wow, the second ingredient is canola oil, which, okay, we can eat it, it's fine, but it's not the most supportive for our health. And when we eat it on a continual basis, i.e. we're vegan and everything we're eating has canola oil in it, and we're not getting enough saturated fat, that's when I really start getting concerned. Refined coconut oil, fine, whatever. Water, yeast extract, maltodextrin, natural flavors, gum arabic, so just a thickener, sunflower oil, so another polyunsaturated fatty acid, salt, succinic acid. I hate all the names of these things, but you guys see all of this. You have methyl cellulose, potato starch, beet juice extract, absorbic acid. So you have just this huge list of things, some of which I can't even properly pronounce. Here is the other burger. This might be the Impossible Burger. Yeah, so the other one was Beyond Meat. This is the Impossible Burger. Ingredients is, again, that soy protein. That soy protein concentrate, the coconut oil, the sunflower oil, the natural flavors, the yeast extract, the cultured dextrose food starch modified soy, soy legumoglobulin, salt, soy protein isolate. It really is just a bunch of different random compounds and chemicals that they have put together to make this thing look like meat. But it's not meat, and it doesn't provide the same nutritional value as meat does. And yes, meat provides nutritional value. And I think just if we can kind of see this just from a logical perspective, you have these two products which have a huge list of ingredients, and then you look at a beef ingredient label and literally it says our beef raised without antibiotics and no hormones, grass grown without pesticides. And then you see the ingredients, USDA certified organic grass-fed beef. One ingredient from a product that contains all the amino acids that you need. If we look at the Morningstar Farms veggie sausage patty, it's like, oh my gosh, this ingredient list is insane. I need to like zoom in to see it. Wheat gluten, soy protein concentrate, corn oil, egg whites, sodium caseinate modified tapioca starch, soybean oil, lactose, soy protein isolate, hydrogenized vegetable protein, wheat gluten, corn gluten, soy protein, autolyzed yeast extract, natural and artificial flavorings, modified vegetable gum, sodium triphosphate, salt, caramel color. It's like, that's not even half of the list. Like, it keeps on going and going and going and going. And then at the end, it's like they fortified these products with all these vitamins, but a fortified vitamin is not the same as a vitamin. So like the B12 that you're getting in this is not the same as eating beef and getting B12. I hope that is like clear for people that is not the same at all. I linked below this article if you want to take a look at it. It just talks about the fortification of foods and why it might not be as good as we think. It's not the same at all. Our body doesn't absorb vitamins individually like that. We need the whole conglomeration of certain vitamins and minerals which are naturally found in food to properly digest and assimilate it. Let's take, for example, vitamin D. We actually can't synthesize vitamin D without the presence of cholesterol. So we look at something like butter, and butter contains a lot of vitamin D, and it also contains cholesterol. So now when we eat the butter, we can actually synthesize and utilize the vitamin D that is found there. So that's kind of what I'm talking about here. we're missing a big picture here. Like, we think that we're smart by doing this, but then it's like we're all eating fortified cereals and things like that, and our health is declining year after year. So why? Let's see. I gotta go back to my page here. But we look at, this is just a hot Italian chicken sausage, okay? Just a spiced sausage, and the ingredients are chicken. That's like the main ingredient. Water's next, okay? Then you go to salt, and then just a little bit of spices. Vinegar, paprika, bell pepper, garlic, parsley, lemon juice. Pretty much one ingredient with a little bit of spices. Let's take a look at, this one is almond milk. You have filtered water, evaporated cane juice. It's like almonds they're not even the first thing on the list. You have sugar, evaporated cane juice on the list. Then you have almonds, calcium carbonate, natural vanilla flavor with other natural flavors, which so many things can go into that. Sea salt, potassium, citrate, carrageenan, which is a thickener, which is known to cause a lot of issues. Soy lecithin, vitamin A. I'm really not for synthetic vitamin D. Again, all these things, you guys, I talk about in detail in my course. Not that my course is hyper focused on food, but there is like one module where I kind of go through this and I explain my reasoning with all the resources and everything for not liking these things. So I'm not going to go into it here. But then we have, this is rice milk. So you have a rice base, and then you have canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, tapioca starch, and then all of these other thickeners and natural flavors and things like that. But then you take something like this, raw milk. What's the ingredient label here? I don't even need to look. I can tell you. It's whole raw milk. That's it. So it's like, which one's healthier? Like, which one would we just intuitively say is going to be more supportive for the body? The things that, are coming from all these factories and have, long ingredient list of all these things that I can't even pronounce, and I don't even have the time to talk through the whole ingredient list here? Or is it going to be the thing with one ingredient? This is the kind of stuff that I did to get me out of veganism, to be like, whoa, yeah, I've been just like loading my body with all of these products on a consistent basis that are just, it's a lot. Again, this is not to say that I would fear going and having a glass of almond milk, or that I fear buying sauces and ketchups and things like that have canola oil. But we have to pause and think, am I getting enough of the stuff that my body's gonna really need to thrive and survive? And by going completely vegan, I wasn't at all, because I wasn't ever eating butter. I wasn't ever eating meat or eggs or dairy or any of that. So all I was getting was like vegetables and then a concoction of all of these, carrageenan, soy lecithin, soy protein isolate things. So I just wanted to like kind of run through that. Let's go back to France now and enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, so first off, it's a really small store. Second off, none of the products look good, especially when I got to the tofu veg section. Oh wait, I gotta show you guys something. Sorry, I had to stop because that looked like more my type of store, if you know what I mean. Some good cheeses, good sauces to put on top of the cheese with the bread, and that's more like it. Nothing in that other store did I find appealing in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I was pretty put off by a lot of the things. I don't know, it doesn't seem good. It's all like low fat stuff too. And to me, like, fats is what makes the meal really good and tasty. Lots of butter and oil and all that stuff. The fatty pieces of the meat, that's like literally what's very, what I call bumptious. And there's just like none of that in any of these products. And I think that's the number one thing that like turns me off. The second thing that turns me off is just like the price. It's always so ridiculously pricey. For these like chimique things, and it's like, if you want to eat sausage, just eat sausage. Why are we like putting a bunch of soy protein isolate and a bunch of natural and artificial flavors and a bunch of like, you know, glucose syrup and things like that to make these like fake sausages. It's not the same nutritional value, it's not the same type of protein, and it really just does nothing for your health, in my opinion. And from what I learned from my experience of being vegan for multiple years, I'm way healthier eating meats, like real actual meats and yogurt and meats and dairy and eggs and fish and all that, like extraordinarily healthy after incorporating all those foods in and ditching all of those like fake type of mock soy products. Honestly, I think it's just really sad being here in the land of like gastronomy, where there's such amazing food. Like I just walked by, and I hate filming when I'm on the streets, especially when I'm speaking English, because like everyone stares at me. But there's so many cool places of these, just like you have the butcher, then you have the boulangerie, then you have the cheese, you have like all these specific little stores for, you know, good quality products. And I feel like it's really just such a shame that people here would start eating like a vegan diet when I'm like, you're in the land of like amazing animal products, amazing meat products, amazing dairy, amazing seafood. And that really is what all of the dishes are surrounded around in the restaurants. So if you're eating a vegan or even a vegetarian diet, it's going to be extraordinarily hard to find things at the restaurants that you can eat. And so now you're saying no to everything about Paris, about the culture, about this city, and you're not going to be really experiencing it because you're saying no to what everyone else is doing and eating. And it's like, sure, go home and eat your sauteed tofu sausage. But like, I'm gonna go to a restaurant and I'm gonna eat like a full bone marrow or steak or the crevettes, which is the shrimp, and all of that. That's what I'm going to do because it's super tasty, it's great quality, and yeah, that's just, to me, that's part of embracing the whole experience of being here. And so, again, I just think it's kind of really sad, not that French people are thinking more about health, it's that, you know, there's a subset that thinks that health is going to be, let's get rid of the scallops and the shrimp and the jambon, the ham and the prosciutto and all of those things, and let's start eating soy milk and tofu. Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me. All right, I'm getting to like my favorite road here. It's called Rue Mouffetard. I used to walk this road all of the time because it's right by my grandma's house, so I'm getting close to my grandma's. Just such a fun place, tons of places to eat, like really fun, like to go places, and then also like sit down. So you'll see, it's like really cute. So I just finished walking Rue Mouffetard. So gorgeous, so pretty. I absolutely love this place. But it was just so funny walking down the street, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna film. I haven't filmed that much while I'm in Paris, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna film some stuff and just show all the cute like little stores and everything. And so I would like go inside, you know, I showed you the cheese shop and the seafood and like all of that. It was so funny because I was like, even doing that, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, and I don't like, I've been here again for like quite a few days now, and I haven't once just like walked into a place to like view what the food looks like. Like, we are walking, Marina and I, we are walking past food places all day, every day, and I don't even glance. Like, I don't even glance inside to look at what it is. And I think the reason is because I'm like, I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and so I don't feel this like I have to look at everything and see everything that they have. I'm like, no, just by the time it's hungry, we'll look for a food place real quick and just go in, and whatever they have, like, that's what we'll do. There's no like, I need to eat the perfect thing right now, and so I need to make sure I analyze everything and choose the right thing. I'm like, there's none of that. Like, we can sit down to any place and just eat what they have. We actually did that yesterday when we went and we got some Chinese food. We just were like, it's actually, you know what happened? It started raining, and we just like ran into the first store that we saw. We were like, it's raining. We just like ducked under cover, and I was like, oh, Chinese food, should we do this? And she was like, yeah. That's how we chose. Again, it's just really freeing to not have food on your mind all the time, even when you're in a place where there's food around everywhere. I'm not like looking at the food being like, oh my gosh. The only shop that I looked in that I was like, yum, was the cheese. It smelled so good. The cheese shop was like, we don't get this in America at all, especially for those prices. It's like way cheaper here. But anyways, the whole point though is just, again, sharing how like when you do have food freedom, you stop obsessing about food because it's just food. It's not like that interesting. Like, I like to eat good tasting things. I enjoy good cuisine. Like, I like to eat, but it's not like, I mean, again, it's not coming from this survival place where it's like, I have to look at all the food and I have to make sure it's perfect and I have to make sure it's right. I'm like, there's no such thing as right. There's no such thing as perfect. We sit down and we enjoy ourselves to whatever food is there. And I don't find myself like, looking around, looking at food all of the time. So it was just funny because I was like, this is the first time I've actually like been looking at the window seals and like what there is as far as food. Because again, if I want quiche, then I know to just go find a boulangerie and get quiche. If I want a croissant, same thing. If I want, they're really good like Japanese food. So I'm like, if I want sushi, if I want like ramen, if I want any of those things, like I know to just go find one of those places instead of like looking at every single window seal. So yeah, I'm almost to my grandma's house, like almost. So we're gonna continue on. Bonjour maman, ça va? Ça va bien? Oui.